On my birthday, my boyfriend Liam announced his wedding date with someone else in front of the whole company. I didn't cry or make a fuss. I went to find him, wanting an explanation, but unexpectedly, I overheard his conversation with a friend. "Aren't you afraid that Clara will be angry if you do this? I have no choice. If I don't marry Alice, she'll be randomly married off to a stranger by her family. I can't just stand by and watch her suffer. Besides, Clara has been with me for 8 years. Everyone knows she's my woman. She has no other choice but to wait for me." Later, my family arranged a more suitable marriage partner for me. However, I didn't expect that my wedding day happened to be the day he got married too. As the groom, he was restless and always had a bad premonition. He told others to keep an eye on the wedding and not let me come to make trouble. At this time, one of the groomsmen said awkwardly, "Don't you know Clara is getting married today too?" "Mom, does the Ethan family's marriage proposal still stand?" Hearing this, my mom's hand holding the teacup trembled slightly. She looked at me in shock and said, "Clara, why are you asking about this?" There was undisguised worry in her eyes. Just now, the video of Liam's proposal last night had gone viral all over the internet. Everyone knew that the Liam family was about to have a happy event, but the bride wasn't me, who had been in love with him for 8 years. Seeing that I didn't say anything, my mom said anxiously, "Clara, getting married is a big deal. Don't be impulsive." I swallowed the bitterness in my heart and shook my head. "Mom, I've just realized that you didn't reject the Ethan family's marriage proposal immediately. Isn't it because you think he's more reliable than Liam? I trust your judgment." At this point, my mom sighed deeply. "Ethan, the youngest son of the Ethan family, is indeed nice, but why don't you meet him first and then make a decision?" "No, you can just arrange it. I'm okay with whatever you decide." After discussing this matter, I had a meal at home and then went back to the small apartment I bought myself. However, what I didn't expect was that Liam was there. Hearing the sound of the door opening, he put down the work in his hand unhurriedly and looked over. "Were you busy at work today? You came back quite late." I changed my shoes and asked, "Why are you here?" "I happened to pass by here on my way back from a social engagement, so I thought I'd come to see you." As usual, Liam walked over trying to hug me. As he got closer, I smelled a familiar woman's perfume. It was the perfume that Alice often used. I felt a sense of resistance in my heart and subconsciously stepped back to avoid his embrace. Suddenly, my nose felt sore. "Now that you've seen me, you can leave." Liam's outstretched hand stopped in the air. Hearing this, a bit of a smile appeared on his face. "Don't be silly, Clara. Didn't you keep asking me to spend more time with you a few days ago? I deliberately set aside some time to accompany you. Yesterday was my birthday. I waited from day to night but didn't receive a single call from him. Until night, when I couldn't help but want to go to him, I received a video sent from an unfamiliar number. It was a video of Liam proposing to Alice in front of all the employees in the company. In the video, many people were happily cheering. I couldn't believe it and rushed to his company in a hurry, wanting to hear his explanation in person, but unexpectedly, I overheard his conversation with his buddies. Only then did I realize that in this game of love, I had become a complete laughingstock. Thinking of the words he said last night, my heart felt as if it had been stabbed hard, and the pain was suffocating. I looked up at the man with gentle eyes in front of me. My eyes were moist and my tears blurred my vision. I didn't know why, but I just felt so uncomfortable that I could hardly breathe. Seeing my tears falling, Liam inexplicably panicked. He wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes at a loss. "Why are you crying? Who bullied you? Tell me, and I'll teach them a lesson for you." Since childhood, Liam had been the little rascal in the neighborhood. He was unruly and naughty, often making his mother chase after him to beat him. I was a premature baby and had been in poor health since childhood. My parents watched me closely on weekdays. They didn't allow me to go out and play with other children. I could only sit by the window, looking enviously at them running around freely outside. Whenever Liam saw me sitting by the window in a daze, he would always run over and secretly bring me all kinds of snacks, then pinch my soft cheeks and whisper, "Clara, when can you come out and play with me?" In junior high school, my health gradually improved, and my parents finally let me go out to play. At that time, he would always take good care of me carefully and tell me, "Clara, If someone bullies you when you go out in the future, just mention my name, and they won't dare to bully you. Since then, I was no longer alone when I went out. He would always accompany me to the places I wanted to go. When someone bullied me, he would also show up in front of me immediately, being my strong and reliable shelter. In college, we naturally became a couple. He became even gentler towards me and gave me all his affection. Until our junior year, Alice's appearance shattered all the beauty between us. She was smart, beautiful, efficient, and natural. She was also Liam's classmate in the same department. They had a way of communicating that I couldn't understand. At first, Liam would help me translate. Later, he thought it was troublesome and said, "You don't understand what we're talking about. Just go play by yourself." They talked about everything from reality to the internet from day to night, and my communication with Liam gradually became just a few words. My friends reminded me to pay more attention to their contact. I didn't take it seriously because I knew that even couples should have their own privacy. I also trusted him and believed that he wouldn't fall for someone else. But reality slapped me hard. That night, Liam didn't leave. He said he was worried about me. I looked at him silently for a long time and said, "Do as you like." Then I went back to my room and locked the door in time when he was about to follow. Liam stood outside the door with a complicated look in his eyes. He paused and said, "Clara, I'll be right outside the door. When you come down, come to me, okay?" I ignored him. The hot tears fell on the cold back of my hand, spreading a warm feeling. "Liam, I don't want to love you anymore." The next day when I woke up, I rubbed my aching temples and walked out of the room. I saw Liam hurriedly putting on his coat to go out. "Clara, I have something urgent to deal with now and have to leave first. I'll pick you up tonight, and we'll go out for dinner together." Before I could respond, he rushed out in a hurry. He disappeared from my sight before I could even react. I pursed my lips and looked at the sofa where he had slept. Only then did I notice that he had left his phone here in his hurry. I walked over and picked it up. I was originally planning to take it to him later. Then a message suddenly popped up. Liam didn't set a password, so I could see everything when a message came in. The message was sent by someone whose note was, "Little silly pig." In the photo, Alice was sitting in the emergency room of the hospital in a mess, smiling and making a V sign at the camera. She said, "Don't rush on your way here. Pay attention to safety. I'll be waiting for you here all the time." At this moment, I realized the reason why he had been in such a hurry to go out just now. I laughed at myself, found a same-city courier, and asked them to send his phone to his company. Then I went to work at the company. I had been working in my family's company since graduation. My father wanted to train me, so he asked me to start as a junior staff member. Until now, I had become a department manager by relying on my own abilities. As soon as I arrived at the company, my assistant brought a project document over. "Clara, there's a file here that needs your processing. All the procedures have been completed. All that's left is your signature." I took it and looked at it carefully. It was a project in cooperation with the Liam family, but I had no impression of this project at all. "Has Clara approved it yet?" "No." The assistant was stunned for a moment and quickly replied, "Didn't you say before that as long as it wasn't a very important cooperation, the first choice would always be the Liam family?" Only then did I remember that I had indeed said such words. At that time, I thought that our two families would be one family sooner or later, and it didn't matter who earned more or less, so I didn't measure the project's profitability too much. Forget about this one. Next time when encountering such a thing, we'd better choose the best option. Everything should be centered around the company's interests. After being busy with work all day, I packed up my things after work and thought about going to a newly opened Chinese restaurant. But when I arrived, I found that the restaurant was already full of customers. Just as I was about to leave, I heard a familiar voice. "Clara, you're also here to have dinner?" Looking back, I saw Alice and Liam sitting at the table with smiles on their faces. Seeing me, Liam's expression froze slightly. Then he quickly reacted and said, "I was just thinking about calling you to come for dinner. I didn't expect you'd come. Come and have dinner together." He waved to the waiter to add another set of chopsticks and bowls. I didn't eat much at noon, and by now I was already starving, so I didn't leave and sat down. "Clara, I remember you like spicy food. Let's order a few more spicy dishes for you." Looking around, the whole table was full of light-tasting dishes. Both Liam and I were big fans of spicy food. He once said that a dish without chili peppers was like a dish without a soul, and eating it was like torture for him. Now, facing a table of light-tasting delicacies, he didn't change his expression at all. Liam gave Alice an unhappy glare and scolded her gently. "I think it's you who wants to eat them. Don't forget what the doctor told you today. You can only eat light food recently." Alice, who was being blamed, snorted playfully. "Okay, Mr. Housekeeper, I'll listen to you, okay?" Watching their interaction, my heart, which had been hurt terribly, remained calm. Liam shook his head helplessly. "You guys eat first. I'm going to make a phone call." Seeing Liam leave, the smile on Alice's face gradually faded, and she cast a provocative glance at me. "Clara, I'm really impressed by you. Knowing that Liam proposed to me, you still cling to him. You're so thick-skinned." Hearing the disdain in her words, I looked up at her. Is it something to be proud of, stealing someone else's boyfriend? Is it worth showing off in public like this? "You!" Before she could finish her words, thick smoke suddenly came from the kitchen of the restaurant. Someone saw it first and shouted in panic, "Fire!" As soon as these words were said, the noisy restaurant instantly became chaotic, and everyone fled in panic. I came to my senses and quickly stood up. Just as I was about to leave, a figure suddenly bumped into me. Before I could stand firmly, I heard a familiar anxious voice. "Alice, don't be afraid. I'll take you out right away." Liam didn't stop walking and quickly led Alice out. His heart was pounding, and he felt a joy of surviving a disaster. He suddenly hugged her tightly. Thank goodness you're okay." At this point, something suddenly occurred to him. He quickly turned around and saw me looking at them coldly not far away. His voice choked and he stammered, "Clara, I was just too rushed just now. I didn't mean not to save you." "I know," I interrupted him coldly. At the moment when he hugged her and left just now, I clearly realized that Liam, who once said he would protect me for a lifetime, had already changed. Seeing that I wasn't angry, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief and offered to take me home. "No need. I think Alice seems to be quite frightened. You'd better take her home first." In the following days, I didn't contact Liam again. Instead, I was busy preparing for my wedding. At that time, I received a message from the designer and took advantage of the noon lunch break to go to the store to pick up the custom-made wedding dress. It was originally prepared by me for proposing to Liam, but I could no longer wait for that day. Coincidentally, just as I stepped into the store, Alice followed closely behind and walked in. When she saw the gift box in my hands, she looked hotly at the designer and said, "I want to try on that wedding dress." "Sorry, this is custom-made specifically for Clara, and the ownership belongs to Clara." Alice sneered disdainfully. "You've even had a custom-made wedding dress? It's as if you're getting married soon." As she said this, she seemed to realize something and immediately got angry. "Are you planning to wear this wedding dress to ruin my wedding?" Seeing her crazy look, I didn't bother to pay attention to her and said, "If you're sick, go get treated. Don't go crazy here." With that, I was about to leave with the gift box. Unexpectedly, she suddenly rushed over. Before I could react, she violently opened the box and frantically tore at the gorgeous wedding dress. That wasn't enough. She even rushed to the front desk, grabbed the scissors and ruthlessly ripped it apart. "Clara, don't you dare ruin my wedding. I'll destroy your wedding dress right now. Let's see how you can make trouble." "Alice, are you crazy?" I was so angry that I wanted to take it back, but unfortunately, my arm was scratched by the scissors in her hand, and blood quickly flowed out. Alice was stunned. After half a minute, she also quickly cut her own arm a few times with the scissors. Then she slumped to the ground and moaned softly. I was shocked by her almost crazy behavior, and before I could say anything, Liam quickly ran into the store from outside. Looking at the chaotic scene in front of him, his eyes turned red with anger, and he glared at me angrily. "Clara, when did you become so vicious?" His eyes were full of anger. He turned to look at Alice and his face was full of distress. Liam walked over and carefully picked her up. Alice leaned against his chest, choking with sobs, and said, "Liam, it's all my fault. Don't blame Clara. She also hurt me accidentally." "Accidentally?" He gave me a fierce look through gritted teeth. It had better be really accidental, Clara. If anything happens to Alice, I won't let you off. With that, he strode away with Alice in his arms. In fact, as long as he looked up, he could see that the store surveillance had recorded everything. Clara, shall I go and explain it for you? Facing the kindness of the designer girl, I shook my head and said, no need. This was quite good. It completely cut off our thoughts about each other. Time flew by and soon it was the wedding day. I also met the man who was about to become my husband. Ethan was much better looking than Liam. His elegant face showed a sense of aloofness, but when he saw me, a hint of tenderness faintly showed on his face. At this moment I was a bit confused about the future. He seemed to see through my nervousness and gently comforted me. Don't be nervous. I'm here for everything. Ethan skillfully led me to greet the family members and serve tea. He was so appropriate in his actions that he didn't make me feel the slightest discomfort. When getting into the wedding car, he was also very careful and took care of everything for me. As the car started its engine, my uneasy heart gradually calmed down. Meanwhile, Liam, sitting in another wedding car, was obviously a bit restless. Logically speaking, today was an important day, and I wouldn't have sent no message at all, but he almost scrolled through his phone until it broke, yet he didn't see a single message related to me. When he arrived at the hotel, the uneasiness in his heart hadn't dissipated but became even stronger. He glanced around and said firmly and surely to several groomsmen, you guys guard the wedding scene well. Don't let Clara come and make trouble. The next second, one of the groomsmen burst out laughing. Don't worry, Clara doesn't have time to make trouble. She's getting married today, and she should be having the wedding ceremony in the hotel now. The steps of the wedding were quite complicated. After a busy time, I could hardly straighten my back. Ethan noticed my tiredness and suggested, you go wash up first. I blinked, feeling a bit embarrassed for no reason. Tonight was our wedding night. There was nothing wrong with what he said, but it always seemed to carry a bit of ambiguity. Thinking about what might happen later, my ears turned redder. You. Don't worry. I won't force you. He took off his suit jacket, took out a new quilt from the wardrobe and put it aside. We're already married. Everything can be done step by step. There's no need to force it. As he said, he didn't do anything to me. Although we were lying on the same bed, 2 quilts separated the distance between us. I lay on the bed, thinking about the betrothal gifts sent by his family, and felt a bit restless. I really couldn't figure out why Ethan came to propose marriage to my family when I clearly didn't know him. Thinking about it, I couldn't help asking him. Ethan's breathing was very light. I waited for quite a while but didn't get his answer. Just when I thought he was asleep, I heard him say, because I wanted to marry you, so I did it. This answer was obviously beyond my understanding. I was a bit confused and continued to ask, did we know each other before? This time I didn't get an answer. He turned around and threw himself at me, hugging me through the quilt. If you don't want to sleep, why don't we do something meaningful? No. I'm so sleepy. I quickly closed my eyes and didn't dare to say anything more. In the darkness, faintly, I heard a very light laugh. Meanwhile, Liam's family was not so peaceful. Find out for me who on earth did Clara marry. Liam roared with his eyes wide open and kicked over the coffee table in front of him. Alice, wearing a red nightgown, was trembling with fear beside him. She summoned up her courage and tentatively clung to his arm. Liam, tonight is our wedding night. Liam pushed her away coldly and shouted, get lost. He couldn't believe that I had gotten married without his knowing. With red eyes, he kept sending me messages and calling me. What responded to him was always that cold, mechanical female voice. Even the messages he sent disappeared without a trace. Liam's hands were trembling as he slowly looked through our previous chat records. He cried and laughed from time to time until someone told him that I had married Ethan, the young master of the Ethan family. Knowing this, he didn't even have time to change his shoes. He grabbed his car keys and drove all the way to the Ethan family. At that time, I was sleeping soundly. Faintly, I heard someone shouting. I moved slightly. As my consciousness became clear, the voice became clearer too. Clara, come out for me. I won't allow you to marry someone else. You're mine. Realizing who was barking outside like a dog, I suddenly sat up. Subconsciously, I looked beside me and found that there was no one there. Ethan. called out tentatively. There was a noise from the balcony. I rolled over and got out of bed and ran over. Liam's voice also grew louder. Clara, come out for me quickly. If you don't come out, I won't leave. Clara, I love you. Come home with me. I'll give you everything you want, and I won't make you angry anymore. Hearing his voice, I suddenly felt annoyed. Walking to the balcony, Ethan was watching the farce downstairs leisurely. There was still an unextinguished cigarette between his fingertips. Seeing me come out, he directly stubbed out the cigarette butt and asked in a low voice, "Did I wake you up?" Yes. Today was our big wedding day. Yet my ex-boyfriend came to make a scene. No man could bear it. I didn't know what Ethan was thinking, nor did I know how to continue the conversation. Ethan glanced at me and frowned when he saw that I was stepping on the floor barefoot. He directly picked me up. Feeling the sudden lift, I couldn't help but let out a soft cry. Why aren't you wearing shoes? I didn't think of it for a moment. He gently put me back on the bed and patted my quilt like coaxing a child. Go to sleep. It's still early. But he's still downstairs disturbing the residents. I'll have someone deal with it. The next second he made a phone call and then came back to bed. He didn't say anything about this matter. I guess since we were in an arranged marriage and there was no love between us, he didn't care that much. Thinking like this, I closed my eyes contentedly and fell asleep. When I woke up again, I habitually picked up my phone to check the time, and only then noticed that the phone had automatically shut down because it was out of power. Quickly charged it. As the phone powered on, a series of missed call reminders and unread text messages popped up one after another. I clicked into Liam's chat box. Without looking at the messages he sent, I replied, "I'm already married. Please don't come to me again in the future." The next second I received his reply. "Clara, don't be silly. I know you're joking with me. Are you angry because I married Alice? I can explain to you." I didn't respond to him again. Instead, I deleted all his contact information. Just after finishing these things, Ethan knocked on the door. He was still calm and said gently, "Wash up when you're awake. We'll go to Mom's for dinner later." The parents of the Ethan family were very open-minded and romantic people. They hurriedly went on a trip around the world after the wedding. The reason they gave was to make room and time for us to have our own world as a couple. So, the place we were going to this afternoon was my parents' home. I quickly washed up and put on a light makeup that wasn't too obvious. Then I went home with him. When my mother saw us coming back, she couldn't stop smiling, especially when she saw Ethan taking out the gifts one by one. Her eyes narrowed into slits with joy. "Just come back. Why did you bring so many gifts? It's so formal." "Not many. It's all what we should do," Ethan responded in a modest and gentle manner. The gifts he brought were all quite valuable, and anyone who knew their worth could tell at a glance. My father had something to talk about with him, so they went to the study while I was pulled into the kitchen by my mother. She glanced outside the door and said softly, "Did Liam go to your place to make a scene last night? How did you know?" I asked in surprise. "I have a friend who lives near your house. She came especially to ask me what had happened this morning. That heartless guy. You live in a villa area, and all the people living around there are either rich or powerful. Everyone around knew that you got married yesterday. With his shouting like that, what will others think of you?" The angrier my mother thought about it, the more she wished she could rush to his house and beat him up. "What about Ethan? Did he say anything?" I shook my head. "He didn't say anything. Just like a calm Buddha with no temper. Nothing could arouse his interest." My mother sighed helplessly and shook her head. "Take it slow. If he has any dissatisfaction, you two should talk it over nicely. Don't quarrel. Don't ruin your relationship as husband and wife because of that heartless guy." Just as she finished speaking, my mother's cell phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, it turned out to be Liam's mother calling. My mother didn't have a good impression of their family now, but they had been friends for over 20 years, so it wouldn't be right not to answer. However, as soon as she picked up the phone, it was Liam who spoke. "Auntie, I'm really sorry to bother you at this time. I just wanted to ask you if you could help me get in touch with Clara." My mother looked up at me and sneered. "Liam, if Auntie remembers correctly, you're already married. What do you want with our Clara?" "Well, I have something to say to Clara. Auntie, please, for the sake of my parents, Could you do me a favor? Hearing this, my mother suddenly flew into a rage. I'm telling you, if it weren't for your parents' sake, I wouldn't even want to answer this call. My daughter is already married. If you still have a bit of conscience, don't come to bother her, or don't blame me for being ruthless. After dropping these harsh words, my mother hung up the phone angrily. Seeing her standing up for me like this, my heart softened. I thought Liam was the person who cared about his face, and that after being scolded like this, he would never come to our door again. Unexpectedly, when we were having dinner in the evening, he came to our door in a big way. My mother didn't let him in and he shouted outside, "Clara, I know you're here. If you don't want to come out to see me, I'll just keep waiting here until I see you." All the people living around were old neighbors who had lived there for over 10 years. It wouldn't sound good if this matter got spread, so I told Ethan what I was thinking. He didn't stop me but said, "If anything happens, just shout and we'll come out." I was amused by these words and nodded. When I went out, Liam, who was waiting outside with a gift bag in his hand, had his eyes suddenly brighten up. "Clara, you still came out to see me." He was trembling with the joy of getting something back after losing it. "I knew you couldn't bear to part with me." I frowned and interrupted him. "What on earth do you want?" At this point, he carefully took out one photo after another of us from the gift bag. There were thousands of them. "Clara, these are the photos we took together from childhood to adulthood. Look how happy we were smiling in these photos. After looking at these photos, I realized even more that I love you. I don't like Alice. I married her just to help her break free from her family's control. Now that her family knows she's married, they won't force her anymore. I'll take her to apply for a divorce tomorrow, and we can get the certificate in a month." I looked at him coldly as he was moved to tears by himself, thinking that what he said was extremely absurd. He didn't like Alice, but he was willing to lower himself to help her and didn't mind becoming a divorced man. On what grounds did he think that as long as he turned back, I would definitely be waiting for him in the same place? Do you really understand what love is, Liam? Whether you love someone or not is determined by your heart, not by your mouth. Your actual actions told me that you like Alice, but you also denied all of this. Or rather, he understood what love was, but he loved himself more. No, it's not like that, Clara. I was wrong before. I just regarded Alice as my sister. Her family has favored boys over girls since she was a child. If I didn't help her, she could be married off to a stranger by her parents at any time. I just felt sorry for her and wanted to give her a hand. You wanted to help her? That's your business. Why should I wait for you in the same place? Also, you said you liked me. You clearly knew that I got married yesterday, yet you still went to the place where we live and shouted about our affairs loudly. Have you ever thought about what the neighbors living nearby would think of me? Liam's expression froze and his face turned pale. I was too impatient at that time and didn't think that much. Just because you said you didn't think that much, you could easily ruin me? Liam, is this what you call love? This is clearly trying to embarrass me. If it were someone else, I might believe that it was an unintentional act, but if it were him, I didn't believe it. It's not like that. He was so anxious that he wanted to pull me. I felt repelled in my heart and took a step back to avoid his touch. Hurt flashed across his eyes, and his eyes immediately turned red. He begged in an extremely humble manner, "Clara, please don't treat me like this. Go back. I'm already married. Don't come to bother me anymore. Have you forgotten our past, Clara? It was you who said that you would marry no one but me in this life." Liam suddenly rushed over. He held onto my arm tightly and wouldn't let go. "Clara, divorce him. In a month we can get married. Then I'll definitely give you a grand wedding. Whatever he can give you, I can do it too. Please believe me one more time, okay? Let go." I struggled to break free from him, but he held on even tighter. He pulled me towards the car, constantly saying, "I'll take you home right now, Clara. We said we'd be together for a lifetime." He looked too crazy. I was a bit scared and subconsciously shouted, "Ethan!" In the blink of an eye, a figure quickly ran towards me. Before I could react, I heard a gust of wind whistling past my ears. The hand that was holding my arm loosened. Instead, I fell into a warm embrace. Ethan's chest was heaving. Leaning in his arms, everything around seemed to quiet down, and all I could hear was the thumping of his heart. Liam was punched to the ground by him, Looking up and seeing the strange man in front of him, his eyes were deeply stung and he loudly questioned, "Who are you?" Ethan gently put his arm around my waist and declared his sovereignty as he said, "I'm her husband, Ethan." After saying that, he lowered his head and gently kissed me on the forehead, saying in a voice that only I could hear, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." I was still a bit scared, but my wildly beating heart gradually calmed down after hearing these words. Just like a wounded baby bird that had found a warm nest and felt a sense of security in my heart. "It's impossible. Clara, what he said isn't true, right?" Liam got up in a mess. His gloomy eyes showed obvious hurt and disbelief. He still couldn't believe that I was already married. I took Ethan's hand with the wedding ring on it and showed it to him. "Liam, I'm really married. There's no point in you pestering me like this anymore. So what if you're married? As long as we love each other, who can stop us?" Liam refused to give up and rushed over to pull me away. "Besides, do you think he's a good person? If he were a good person, he wouldn't take advantage of the situation at this time." Ethan's face completely turned cold. He pushed me behind him and said softly, "Honey, step back. Don't get hurt." Subconsciously, I really took a few steps back. In another blink of an eye, the two of them were already fighting with each other. Ethan put force into every punch. Although Liam usually exercised, he was clearly no match for Ethan. Soon, Liam was left with no ability to fight back. I calmly took out my phone and called for an ambulance. Then I quickly stopped Ethan. "Stop it. If he dies, you'll get involved too." Hearing this, he snorted coldly and let go of his hands. "Okay, I'll listen to you, Clara." Liam, who was lying on the ground and couldn't get up, murmured in pain. He reached out his hand, still trying to grab my ankle. I looked at him with disgust in my eyes and said, "Liam, could you stop being so disgusting?" I didn't want to see him at all. After telling my parents that an ambulance would come later, I left with Ethan. When we got home, I noticed that there was an obvious bruise on his face. "Where's the first aid kit at home? I'll put some medicine on it for you." He found the first aid kit and obediently sat on the sofa. In the past, Liam couldn't control his temper and always liked to solve problems with his fists. When he was afraid of being scolded by his family after going home, I would always help him deal with the wounds outside before he went home, so I was quite proficient in dealing with these minor injuries. Just at the moment when I got close to him, a vague figure suddenly flashed through my mind. "What's the matter?" Ethan saw that I didn't move and asked, "I suddenly feel that you look a bit familiar. Remembered?" I blinked, still confused. He smiled bitterly and gently pinched the fingertip of my finger. "Heartless. When you were almost bullied by someone before, it was me who saved you. At that time you were just like now, putting medicine on my wounds." Hearing this, I was stunned. I remembered. In the third year of senior high school, Liam skipped classes to play basketball with some people outside the school. After that, he asked me to bring his school bag and go there to find him. As a result, when I was passing through a deserted small street, I was stopped by a group of guys with yellow hair. They frightened me and asked me to hand over all the money I had on me. I was so scared that I gave them all my money, but they thought it was too little and had evil thoughts. They dragged me towards a deeper alley. I was extremely terrified and screamed out of fear. Just then a boy showed up and saved me. Out of gratitude, I also bought disinfectant to help him deal with his wounds, but at that time Liam came. He called my name and I forgot to ask the boy who saved me what his name was. Seeing my stunned expression, Ethan knew that I had remembered. "Remembered?" I nodded with difficulty, then lowered my head and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to forget about this." In contrast, I had always been grateful to the person who helped me that day. It's just that too much time had passed, and the appearance of that person had long become blurred in my mind. If you can remember, it means you're not too stupid. There was a smile in his eyes and he pinched my cheek. I don't know why, but my heart was beating unusually fast, and I was a bit afraid to look at him. "Ethan, are you marrying me because of this incident?" When I asked this question, my nervous heart seemed to be about to jump out of my chest. "No." After getting the answer, I felt an inexplicable sense of loss again. "Oh." The next second, he directly pulled me into his arms, and my ear was pressed tightly against his chest. Feeling the beating of his heart, I've said it before, I did it because I wanted to marry you. When I proposed marriage, I was prepared for you to reject me, but your answer was beyond my expectation." His voice trembled slightly, but it made my ears turn red when I heard it. Originally, I thought that I would have to get married sooner or later, and it didn't matter who I married, but after hearing his words, I still felt the essential difference. I think being able to marry someone who makes your heart flutter is the most wonderful thing in the world. "Ethan, do you like me? Isn't it obvious? Then I'll try to make it more obvious in the future." I couldn't help being amused by him. Recalling how he had beaten someone just now and what I had said to my mom in the afternoon, I realized that my perception had been rather shallow. He wasn't a calm, capable man. He was just able to restrain his emotions. Thinking of this, I asked, "Did you want to beat Liam up a long time ago?" He calmly said, "Yes. I've wanted to do it since the first time I saw him." Ethan's eyes gradually darkened. He held me and turned over. I widened my eyes in shock, and then he quickly gave me a light, fleeting kiss. "Fortunately, he's stupid and sent you back to me." His kiss was light, but it was like fire, making my breath feel hot too. After restraining himself for a while, he asked in a low voice, "Clara, is it okay?" I didn't say anything. I hugged him tightly and closed my eyes. That night, the wind and rain swayed, and feelings gradually emerged. Something was quietly changing. In the last second before falling asleep, I seemed to hear him murmuring, "Finally, I don't have to hide and watch you secretly anymore. Clara, you're mine." A long time passed and I didn't hear any news about Liam. Later, I heard that after Liam was taken back that day, Ethan went to his home in person and tactfully reminded his parents. Although the Liam family was wealthy and powerful, they still couldn't compare to the Ethan family, which had a history of hundreds of years. So they didn't dare to confront them head-on. Liam was locked up by his family. However, the more Liam thought about it, the more he felt that it was Alice's fault. If it hadn't been for helping her, he wouldn't have lost me. He quietly escaped and found Alice, then dragged her to get a divorce. Alice didn't want to. She didn't want to watch the happiness she had grasped disappear like this. She deliberately drugged Liam and successfully got pregnant. She thought that she had secured her position as Mrs. Liam, but unexpectedly, after Liam learned about this, he forcibly took her to the hospital for an abortion. Because of this, she was injured during the abortion and could never be a mother again in her life. After learning this news, she went crazy and stabbed Liam, who had come to bring her the divorce agreement. 30 stabs in total, and each stab was fatal. In just a few minutes, Liam died. When Alice regained her sanity and realized that she could never turn things around in her life, she went to the rooftop of the hospital in despair and jumped off. When I learned about this, Ethan and I had already boarded the plane to the Maldives for our honeymoon. I put down my phone, leaned on his shoulder, played with the wedding ring on his ring finger and said softly, "Ethan, we should always be happy together." "Yes, we will. Our future is still long, and our love will continue like this without end." The end.